This evening, first, no more roadside dumping. Public Works Minister Juan Edghill issues a stern warning to anyone dumping garbage and construction waste along highways as government moves to tighten enforcement and roll out new sanitary landfill sites nationwide. Plus, disturbing claims spark urgent probes. Serious allegations of sexual exploitation, abuse of power and misconduct at the Guyana Police Force Academy triggers full-scale investigations, raising troubling questions about supervision and safeguarding within the institution. Also, Budget 2026 countdown. Minister responsible for Finance, Dr Ashni Singh, confirms the first post-election budget will be laid in Parliament on Monday, January 26, with cash grants, pension increases, housing support, and human development at the center of the government's agenda. Meanwhile, sanitation standoff in the capital. Government signals decisive action on Georgetown's garbage crisis after the mayor and opposition councillors boycott talks, as Minister Priya Manikchand says residents can no longer be held hostage by politics. And abroad, Spain enters 3 days of mourning after a devastating train crash leaves at least 40 people dead in the south of the country. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for January 20th, 2026. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edghill has issued a stern warning to individuals who illegally dump waste along road shoulders, saying offenders will face harsh penalties as authorities move to protect the public safety and the environment. The warning was issued during a site inspection along the Oval Highway last Friday, during which the minister condemned the dumping of dirt, builders' waste, and garbage on road shoulders, particularly along major access roads and highways. He stressed that such practices are strictly prohibited and pose serious risks to motorists and surrounding communities.
Well, as of today's date, anybody who is caught dumping, there'll be serious consequences. Dumping of dirt, builders' waste, garbage is not allowed on the road shoulders of any main access or highway. Dumping of waste should go to a designated landfill site or an area where there's a school ground or a community ground that requires dirt to build up. It can't be on the highway. We're going to clean up what is here now. But as of today's date, anybody who is caught dumping, there'll be serious consequences.
While government will remove waste currently dumped along the Ogal Highway, the minister warned that enforcement measures will be significantly tightened in the future. The Minister of Public Works also disclosed that the government is identifying land across the country to develop additional sanitary landfill sites as part of a broader strategy to improve waste management. He noted that this effort will require new upgraded infrastructure, including roads and facilities capable of accommodating heavy-duty garbage trucks. According to Minister Edghill, effective waste management and environmental protection remains top government priorities aimed at ensuring a cleaner, safer, and more sustainable environment for citizens. In other news, shocking allegations emerging from Guyana's police training institution have triggered an urgent government response. The Ministry of Home Affairs has issued full investigations into serious allegations of sexual exploitation, abuse of authority, and misconduct at the Guyana Police Force Academy, following disturbing complaints from trainees that point to systemic failures in supervision and discipline. In a press statement issued earlier today, the ministry said it immediately directed the Criminal Investigation Department and the Office of Professional Responsibility to probe the allegations. The ministry reiterated its zero-tolerance stance, stressing that any individual found culpable, regardless of rank or tenure, will be charged and held accountable, while ensuring due process and impartial investigations. It emphasizes that the welfare, dignity, and protection of all trainees and officers remain paramount. The investigations come amid detailed complaints from trainees who allege that sexual harassment and exploitation have become widespread at the police training school at Tipleri. According to the accounts, earlier this month. Several officers and civilians were allegedly inside the compound after visiting hours, with multiple female trainees unaccounted for. The trainees claim some were taken to instructors' rooms, offices, the gym, and vehicles where alcohol consumption and sexual activities reportedly occurred. Video evidence is said to exist. Beyond that incident, trainees allege a broader culture of coercion, claim that favors such as lighter duties, exam passes, and academic advancements were exchanged for money, alcohol, or sexual acts. They also allege falsified records and a lack of accountability following previous investigations. Minister of Home Affairs Juan Edghill has previously underscored that consent cannot exist where there is a power imbalance, citing the Sexual Offences Act. She has also stated that officers implicated in such matters are removed from duty pending disciplinary proceedings and urge affected trainees to come forward, assuring them of government support. As investigations continue, the allegations have raised urgent questions about safeguarding recruits within the institution tasked with upholding law and discipline. Moving on, Senior Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr Ashni Singh, has announced that Budget 2026 will be presented to the National Assembly on Monday, January 26, marking the first national budget since the People's Progressive Party Civic's re-election in 2025. Speaking on Monday on the starting point, Dr. Singh said the budget will be firmly anchored in the government's election manifesto and will serve as the operational blueprint for delivering the promises made to the Guyanese people. He described the manifesto as a comprehensive plan to transform the country and expand opportunities for all citizens.
The budget is firmly grounded in the comprehensive and inspiring manifesto that we would have taken to the people of Guyana in the run-up to the 2025 elections. And as many would recall, that manifesto outlined a comprehensive agenda for transforming our country or for advancing the transformation of our country. And very importantly, for creating a Guyana that is full of opportunities for all Guyanese people. And Budget 2026 will reflect this.
The minister explained that Budget 2026 will translate those commitments into concrete policies and programs with a strong focus on human development and improving livelihoods. Key areas highlighted include economic diversification and job creation through tax-free incentives for high-quality employment in special development zones, as well as housing and home ownership support and direct financial assistance to citizens.
The Guyana that we are building is a Guyana that is full of opportunities for every single Guyanese citizen to uplift themselves. And by upliftment, I refer to opportunities in literally every sphere of life, whether it's opportunities to educate yourself and or to get a skill or training or certification, opportunities for employment through the massive job creation that we are seeing and that we will continue to see, opportunities for entrepreneurship, and in particular the establishment and growth of small businesses in Guyana. And so Budget 2026 is going to reflect all of this, revolving around the creation of opportunities for all Guyanese.
Measures outlined by President Dr. Mohamed Irfan in his December 2025 national address are expected to feature prominently, including the universal $100,000 cash grant, increases in pensions and public assistance, support for children and elderly through tax relief, and financial assistance to animal welfare institutions. Dr. Singh emphasized that the overarching goal of the budget is to ensure that national economic growth delivers tangible benefits to individuals and families. He said Budget 2026 represents a critical moment for the country, aimed at ensuring that Guyana's rapid development creates meaningful opportunities and shared prosperity for all Guyanese. Stick around when we return. Government signals strong measures to address Georgetown's garbage crisis, and motor vessel detained after causing damage to small boats at Linden.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Hurry Smalls make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
GCOM will be conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing January 5, 2026 to produce an official list of electors, OLE, if you will be 18 years or older by December 31, 2025, and you're a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM will be posting the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. You can make a claim for registration, change or correction to your particulars, or you can object to the inclusion of anyone who you believe should not be on the list. If you are desirous of making a claim or objection, you must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to do so. Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to conduct any of the above transactions. All GCOM registration offices will open Mondays to Fridays from 8 to 18 hours, Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 14 hours. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Prem Manichan has signaled decisive government actions to address Georgetown's worsening sanitation situation following the absence of Mayor Alfred Mentor and APNU councillors from a scheduled meeting on the city's refuse management plan.
Serious action will have to be taken to the benefit of the citizens and residents of Georgetown, because we no longer have to examine what the issues are and what the problems are. This is where we are now.
The minister had set an 11 a.m. deadline on Monday for the mayor and city council to present a comprehensive strategy to reverse deteriorating conditions in the capital, which she previously described as wholly unacceptable. However, no APNU councillors attended the engagement, and those who initially appeared reportedly left shortly after arriving. The mayor also abstained after Minister Manichan requested that all councillors be invited.
You have to have two parties to collaborate at least. So I can't collaborate with myself. Or central government can't collaborate with itself. What central government can do, and we intend to do, is to consult, hear the citizens and residents and users of Georgetown, and determine how central government can help the city of Georgetown get rescued.
Speaking to reporters, Minister Manichan said the boycott has stalled efforts to resolve the garbage crisis and undermine attempts to build a cooperative, working relationship between the central government and the council. She accused the mayor and councillors of obstructing solutions, arguing that residents, commuters, and visitors are being held hostage by political maneuvering. The minister also rejected claims that the central government is responsible for contracting sanitation workers or undermining the council, insisting her ministry has issued no such contracts. She noted inconsistencies between private discussions with city officials who cited resource shortages and public statements that downplay those constraints, emphasizing that service delivery must take precedence over politics. Minister Manichan said the government will now move to ensure cleaner streets and more reliable garbage collection across the capital.
To the residents and citizens of Georgetown, I say this. Your government understands that this cannot go on. Your government is going to take action that will see you that will be responsive to your needs. This habitual, historical reliance on improved relations that seem impossible cannot hold us back anymore to the detriment of the citizens of Georgetown.
She assured residents that decisive steps will be taken to improve sanitation, stressing that ongoing political impasses will no longer be allowed to negatively affect the health, safety, and well-being of Georgetown's citizens. In other news, panic and damage struck at Mackenzie waterfront on Monday when a motor vessel, a dry bulk carrier, generated powerful waves that flooded riverside landings and battered several small passenger boats in Linden. The incident occurred around 11:30 a.m. as the vessel was piloted from Georgetown to the Bowside Bauxite Company wharf. No injuries were reported. Eyewitnesses said the vessel's waves and turbulence caused flooding along the riverside landing, partially submerging at least one craft and leaving clothing, bags, and other items floating in the water. Local boat operators, who rely on their vessels for fishing, transport, and commerce, described the incident as a serious threat to their livelihoods, noting that many do not carry insurance to cover damages. The Marine Administration Department has launched a full investigation and will engage all stakeholders to assess and remedy the damage. Public Utilities and Aviation Minister Dr Ashni confirmed the vessel remains moored at the Bowside Wharf. He said the captain will be required to compensate affected boat owners for repairs or replacement of damaged property. Marine is also reviewing whether the vessel complied with navigation, speed, and distance regulations. The incident has reignited concerns about the vulnerability of small crafts when large bulk carriers transit populated sections of the Demerara River, with residents urging authorities to enforce stricter maritime safety measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. Don't go away after the break. Floods kill more than 100 across southern Africa as rain intensifies, and AU urged to stand strong against Trump's tariff threats over Greenland.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
GCOM will be conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing January 5, 2026 to produce an official list of electors, OLE, if you will be 18 years or older by December 31, 2025, and you're a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. You are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM will be posting the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check whether the particulars are accurate. You can object to anyone who you believe does not qualify for inclusion in the OLE. To do so, you must be listed in the same divisional list as the person you are objecting to. You must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to make an objection. It is an offense to make false objections. The objections aspect of this exercise will end on Thursday, January 22, 2026. For more information, contact GCOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Gittins. Tonight, Jamaica shift Hurricane Melissa relief to cash grants for vulnerable families. Spain declares days of mourning after a deadly train crash. Flooding kills more than 100 across southern Africa, And Europe pushes back against Trump's tariff threats over Greenland. We begin in Jamaica. Jamaica is shifting Hurricane Melissa relief to cash-based assistance, replacing food handouts to give families flexibility and dignity. The government, with partners including World Food Programme and UNICEF, is providing cash grants to vulnerable households, supporting recovery while strengthening social protection systems for children, seniors, and persons with disabilities. Spain's Prime Minister has declared 3 days of mourning following a deadly rail crash on Sunday. At least 40 people were killed when a train derailed and collided with another in the south of the country. Al Jazeera's Natasha Butler reports.
From the sky, the extent of the disaster is clear. The twisted carriages of two high-speed trains after they collided on Sunday night in southern Spain. Some passengers filmed the aftermath of a routine journey that turned into a nightmare. Emergency workers picked through the wreckage. In a hospital in Cordoba, relatives of survivors waited.
People died near him. He told me that a little girl was asking him for help, but he couldn't help her because he had a broken knee and couldn't move.
In Adamuz, the town nearest to the crash site, some residents had rushed to help.
My husband climbed on top of the first train and he started pulling people out. Then we moved on to the other train, where he had to climb into the carriage to pull people out, and he found people who are dead.
So this is as close as authorities will allow us to get to the crash site. Now, what we know is that a train was travelling north from Malaga to Madrid when it derailed and ploughed into an oncoming train. And what we are told here is that the majority of the victims were in that second train. Some media reports suggest there was a fault with the tracks, but there's been no confirmation from the authorities so far. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says a full investigation has begun.
I want to assure the public that we'll uncover the truth, and when the cause is known, it will be communicated with full transparency.
Spain's worst rail disaster in more than a decade has left the country in mourning. People, including politicians and high-profile footballers, observed a minute's silence. While families grieve, people wait to know how such a tragedy could have happened. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Adamuz, Spain.
Torrential rains have killed more than 100 people across southern Africa, forcing mass evacuations and rescue operations as authorities warn that more destructive weather may still be coming. Al Jazeera's Famida Miller reports.
More debris after yet another night of heavy rain in northeastern South Africa. For communities here, the rain has fallen relentlessly for weeks, with little respite. This is Shatale near Bushbuck Ridge, where the force of floodwaters has eroded the ground. Entire villages are cut off, roads and bridges swept away. The impact has been worsened by already fragile infrastructure. Authorities estimate damage to public facilities in the province could exceed $100 million. More than 500 homes in this area alone are affected.
The floods have destroyed this home. The people who lived here are now staying with family, but they say they plan on returning to rebuild.
Kamogelo had lived in what she called her dream home since 2017. Today it no longer exists. Not far away, Calvin surveys what remains of his house.
What happened here is very painful. When it started raining, water flowed into this bedroom. My child shouted that the foundation was cracking. When we rushed in, we had to pull everything out. Then the window collapsed.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa made his second visit in a week to flood-affected areas, voicing concern about climate change. Flooding in this area is becoming more frequent and more severe. Scientists say climate change is intensifying storms in the Indian Ocean off South Africa's coast, bringing heavier rainfall and widespread flooding inland, leaving entire communities with nothing. Famida Miller, Al Jazeera, Mpumalanga Province, South Africa.
Germany says Europe must stand its ground in the face of Trump's tariff threat over Greenland. Trump said he would impose a 10% tariff on Denmark and 7 other European countries if they oppose a U.S. purchase of the world's largest island. Al Jazeera's Charlie Angelo reports.
Greenland's ice sheets, put under constant pressure by a warming climate, will eventually give way. But if the US president thought Europe would shift its position on the Danish territory under pressure of tariffs, he was mistaken. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is pushing for calm discussion between the allies. His message as much for Donald Trump as for the British people.
The use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. It is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance. Nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure.
Starmer has worked hard to win over Trump and needs to tread a fine line with the UK's closest ally, which has pledged $200 billion in investment.
In public, the UK is advocating de-escalation, but across the Channel, Europe seems to be preparing for a fight, revealing a continent divided on how to handle the US president.
France wants to retaliate with $108 billion worth of tariffs and possibly freeze American businesses out of the single market.
Europe has to step up. Europe has to be strong, and Europe has to make sure that the threats that have been imposed don't become reality. And for this, we need to be able to show that we're willing to use all the instruments we have at our disposal, whether they are tariffs, whether they are the trade agreements, whether they are anti-coercion measures.
Measures originally designed to resist Chinese economic pressure, now being discussed as a response to Washington. But Germany believes a trade war is not the way forward, even as it readies countermeasures repeating a firm message: Europe will not be blackmailed. EU leaders will meet on Thursday for further discussions on how to react. The question, will the US president respond to the appeal for calm discussion, or is it time for Europe to respond with threats of its own? Charlie Angela, Al Jazeera, London.
Thanks, Dominic. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it to be to headline news for this Tuesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.